Hey folks, it's Justin from cartoonsmart.com, and we're going to take a quick look at the Storyteller's Kit today, specifically supporting multi-languages. So suppose you wanted a user to get kind of a different version of the book based on the language they know, English, Spanish, whatever, Klingon, it doesn't matter. You get to kind of figure out what that language is, what it means for your particular app, and I'll show you guys how to set that up really quickly. So if you do want to find the kit though, or more details about it, just go over here to the main sites and then Storyteller's Kit 2, and then click on see what this kit can do. All right, so if you were a subscriber, and you can buy this as a standalone purchase as well. Either way, however you got it, what you'd want to do is probably duplicate one of the clean copies, or just the clean copy in here. You can see I've duplicated that already to show that off for this project. But just so you know that the one that's labeled Storyteller's Kit 2 has all sorts of different demo pages. Great to copy properties from. So let's open up this one. I just duplicated it from clean copy, and here we go. We want to open up the Xcode project. Okay, so when you get here, you should be looking at the list.plist, or basically just the main property list that's going to control everything that's going to keep you from having to ever write a bit of code. Let's start though in the coverphone.sks file. Now this is just basically a layout file to visually set up your page, and I'm going to quickly create two little buttons here. Okay, let's make this one be a nice pretty color of blue. How about that? And maybe a little bit darker so we can put some white text over top of it. I'll just go ahead and copy and paste that. There we go. There's another one, and just there we go. All right. Then I'm going to grab a label out of here, and let's set this color. Actually, I guess we can leave it white. Let's make it a little bit more bold though. For some reason, it's the default for pulling those labels out is this kind of wimpy looking Helvetica. And we're going to change this to say English. Okay, so if you can kind of imagine here, let's say your app opened up to this page, right? There we go, Spanish. So basically the first thing people are going to do is just choose their preferred language. Okay. The actual buttons that people are going to tap on here aren't going to be these labels. They're going to be the images behind them. Okay, so we want to give these names, right? So this one, we're going to go over here and just say English button. All right, and then the next most important step here is to switch over here to the custom class, and we're just going to call this element. Pretty much anything you're going to have interactable with, or you can make an interaction with, you're going to want to set the custom class to element for, okay, which basically just means you can work with it in the property list. All right, and then for the Spanish button, we do need to go ahead and give it a name. Okay, so name it and set the custom class, but that's pretty much it. All right, so we can now start to work with these guys, and we're going to switch over here to the property list. Okay, pages. We were just messing around with cover phone. Okay, in the property list, that's just going to be cover. Okay, these are basically just different scene files based on the device, and you can set one up for phone X, phone, and then it kind of just defaults to being the iPad over here if it doesn't have that extension on it. So, but they're all going to work with the same data here in the property list, right? And you can actually go and you can copy these. So I could just here it's gotta hit shift select. There we go. Or no, I'm sorry, that's option select. And get them all. There we go. So I could copy all these, put them into the iPad one, right? So really the only difference here is just kind of the layout of where they're at. But in terms of the naming of these things, they're all going to share the same name, right? So it's still got Spanish buttons. So really, you shouldn't have to do anything different per device here in the property list. Okay, so moving on. Let's go over here to elements, right? Now, we don't have anything inside of this dictionary. What we're going to want to do is hit the plus sign. We're going to put in here Spanish button. Okay, that's the name of the element that we just created in the scene. And we're going to switch this to dictionary. While you're here, let's go ahead and unfold this. And what we're going to do is put in here another item, touch up event. Okay. And this too is going to be a dictionary. So switch that over to dictionary. Now these are all things that you can copy from the from demo versions of the kit. You've even got examples down here that you can copy from as well. But I'll just kind of create them manually for right now. Okay, so basically what we've done is we've set it up so that we're going to do something when we touch this element, okay? And this is where the documentation for the kit, of course, comes in, because you want to know, hey, what's possible here, right? Well, one of the things that's possible is basically setting a variable, or in terms of the kit, setting values, okay? So I'm going to switch this over here to dictionary again. You do a lot of these, setting up dictionaries. And these are kind of just like folders, really. You can think of it like that. And essentially the variable name here is going to be language, okay? And then we're going to set this to Spanish, all right? So now let's go ahead and take this entire thing that we've got. Okay, I'm just going to copy it, paste it, all right? And then we're going to switch this to English. If I can spell English right. Get rid of that part at the end. English button, touch up events, set values, and the only difference here is just going to be that we're going to set this to English, right? Now, when you're playing around with the kit, it's always nice to get a little bit of feedback to know that things are actually working, okay? So inside of this touch-up event, we can add as many different events as we want, okay? And one of them I'm going to add in here is going to be to output value, all right? And you could just output something like hi, right? And you would see that down here when you're running the kit. But we want to actually output basically the value of that variable, okay? So we're going to say output value. And again, our saved value here is the language, okay? So on both of these, I'm going to output the same thing, right? But, oops, sorry. There we go. But depending on which button I pressed, it should be different, right? Because over here, we set the value for language to Spanish, okay? So if we output the value of language, we should see Spanish, all right? So let's go ahead and test this, not on my actual phone. Let's go ahead and put it on one of the test devices. Build that to the simulator. And I'll unfold this as well so we can kind of see everything. Okay. Now, the neat thing about setting these values is that they are actually persistent through the lifespan of the app. Okay. So if somebody were to close out the app, restart their phone, whatever it is, and then come back to the app, you're actually still going to have these values in here. Okay. So language is going to equal whatever it was the last time. Now, if somebody deleted the app, okay, well, all that data is gone, right? And that's to be expected, you know. But yeah. So here we go. We're waiting for it to fire up. All right, so I'm going to click or tap on English over here, and you can see it did tell me English. Now, remember, we didn't put in here to output English. We put in here to output the value of language, and it is showing me that that's English. All right, so I'll go click over here, Spanish, and I can do that over and over again, right? So the cool thing is again, we're saving these, that one value for language. And what we can do is we can tie that into a label. So let's go back over here to cover phone, and we'll drag out a label. Let's make it just be dark so we can actually see it. Again, get rid of that wimpy light text. So for right now, let's just say this equals welcome. Okay. So the text is going to be, I thought it was going to be, there it is, welcome. And we're going to call this welcome label. Labels in Xcode do not have a custom class, so you don't actually have to set a custom class for any of your labels, okay? So now we're going to go back over here to our property list, and let's go ahead and fold up all of our elements for right now. We're going to make a new dictionary in here called labels. I'm going to switch this to dictionary. Again, these are things you could copy from the demo. And we're going to put in here our welcome label. Now remember, this is going to match exactly that name that we set up over here. Welcome label. Let's go back over this way. And this too is going to be a dictionary. Okay, unfold this. And we're going to put in here text from language. Okay, now this is also going to be a dictionary. And then we're just going to put in here English. That'll be hi. And Spanish. Let's put in here hola. Okay, now we've already saved our values just by testing it in the simulator. So one of these two is going to show up in there. So we're not going to actually see it say, we shouldn't actually see it say welcome. Okay, so I guess the last thing we clicked was English. And so now we're seeing hi. Now keep in mind that, the default for this, if we hadn't had any previous language setup in there, we would have seen welcome for that. And you can always reset values. There are properties for that. You can also do things like set value if nil, so if you want to just basically set a default, language value. But let's go ahead and, let's keep this back open. So now I'm going to just tap on Spanish. And cool thing is that the kit knows that if you are going to change a saved value, okay, again, synonymous with variable. So if we're basically changing the value of language, what it's actually going to do is it's going to look for any text label in the kit that is tied to the language, and then it's going to change that immediately. Okay, so I can go just back and forth over here and change these around, right? So, and then if we wanted to kind of test this out, let's stop it. We'll run it again. And you can see now it opened up this time with whatever our last saved language was. And the labels have this kind of nice little built-in feature, text from language. But you can also, it doesn't have to just be that language variable. It could be, let me find the property for it. Okay, so I don't give you guys bad information. I'm in the documentation right now under label properties. You've got text with saved value. So this could be any saved value, right? Again, you can so you get to really just kind of craft your own little thing here. So let's say this is like some different label, right? All right, and then you don't want to do text from language. You want to do text from saved value, right? And then that could be, whatever the saved value was, widgets, right? Oh, actually, I'm sorry. I've got this set up slightly wrong. I need to put in here, this is going to be set to a string, and then the saved value is just going to be whatever widgets currently equals, okay? So again, through other buttons, you could change the value of widgets, and then that label is just going to show you whatever that value is. And in one of the other videos I've done, the example is we used username in here. Okay, so at some point you could have people fill in their actual username, and then the label could be something like, "Hey, Justin," And you can also add another property in here that is text if no saved value. So then you might have, "Hey, you," instead of "Hey, Justin," So if they hadn't yet put that in, they're going to see you. Otherwise, they're going to see their name. But yeah, back to the language thing. So let's unfold these again. I'll just go ahead and get rid of that. So just to give you guys one last little look of everything unfolded. And just keep in mind when you go to the next page, right? So obviously after they have gone here, or immediately after putting in that their preference is going to be English or Spanish, you could open up the next page of the book. And at that point, you've already saved that value in there. So now they're going down a path that may or may not be only related to English or Spanish, okay? But all of your labels can be tied to the text from that language, okay? So they might actually just go down the same, reading path as they would have for both languages, where the difference then is that the labels all have, text from language. Or again, you can send them off to a whole different country if you wanted to. It's up to you guys. And I guess, let's put in here one other value. So you can put in here, this will just be a string. Open page. And there you go. It could be page 2, right? If that was the case, you'd have seed files named page 2 and put that in there as well. So, okay. I think that's going to do it. 15 minutes is a little bit longer than I wanted to talk about this, but hopefully you guys get the idea now.